Welcome. And we are back on air. So this week, three entities collided. Josh Hart, A'Ja Wilson, and the Club 520 podcast. So just in case anyone's unfamiliar, A'Ja Wilson, all-world WNBA player, three-time league MVP, two-time WNBA champion, six-time WNBA all-star, five-time all-WNBA first team, just a phenomenal player. Josh Hart, starting NBA point guard. He's been on 5 teams in his 7-year NBA career. He's averaging 14 and a half points, nearly 9 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He's getting it done on the New York Knicks. A'Ja Wilson and Josh Hart were on a podcast this week. And the topic came up, and A'Ja Wilson feels like she could beat Josh Hart in a one-on-one game. Josh Hart, he's not having it. He doesn't believe that it would even be close. Now introduce the Club 520 podcast, where they don't believe that A'Ja Wilson could beat an NBA player, starter or bench player, a G League player, and even went so far as to say he could not even beat a college basketball player. And that's what Dante Jr. and I are going to discuss today. Let's get at it.
Air's on there. We back at it. Dad, I got 2 names for you. A'Ja Wilson and Josh Hart.
Oh, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. This week, or sometime within the past week or so, A'Ja Wilson was on a podcast with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson, and she feels as though she could beat Josh Hart in a one-on-one match. What do you think about that?
I think it's just another case of Brittany Griner and DeMarcus Cousins, where we had a whole big debate on that back then. That used to be a talking point back then, but this is more so this generation's DeMarcus Cousins and Brittany Griner, and then what if? Same script, different day kind of thing. That's how I see it.
I think it's interesting, as you alluded to with Brittany Griner and DeMarcus Cousins. Now, you see, I don't know if they played privately and then that kind of went away. I don't really know. I have no idea. But in this instance, I'm not really sure what it is about A'Ja Wilson where she feels like she can beat Josh Hart. Now, I know they're about the same size, right? A'Ja Wilson is 6'4", Josh Hart is 6'4". The athleticism between a man and a woman is completely different. It's a good conversation. I really believe that she thinks she could beat him. I would love to see it.
Yeah, it would definitely bring eyes to the sport.
And with that being said, the Club 520 podcast with Jeff T, they actually talked about this.
So A'Ja Wilson can't beat nobody in the NBA.
No,
that might get spooky.
Not
bro.
one.
They did a whole.
We're talking bench players, everybody.
No,
sham
nigga.
God.
Do y'all know niggas on the bench used to average 40 in high school and nigga 20 in college? All type.
It's funny because I did. She was on the Knicks Niggas podcast. It was like Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. She was just like, if me and you play Josh Hart, who gonna win again? He said me. She's like 11-7. He's like me 11, right? And they just had like a really funny joke about it. She was just like, nah, I'll get y'all up out of here. He just like, nah, let's not joke about that.
Yeah, let's not play around, bro.
Score would be like 8 to 11. Me.
It's not happening.
I get ball first.
You get ball first.
She does get ball first.
Not gonna get it back. And you but that's gonna be your time. Like that's gonna be your period, which is fine. I'm not saying you're gonna go scoreless, but 8 to 11, I feel like it's pretty solid. So what do you think it'll be, Josh? Don't piss me off. Do not piss me off.
I was just about to violate this. I'm about to say,
Right.
Man, probably like 11-2.
You're sick. You're sick.
Nah, I'll say like a good 11, probably like 11-7.
Okay, that's fair. You got 7? Okay.
No. What you mean? What you mean? I got 7 what? I got 7 plus 4.
I'd pay to see that.
It would be like 8 to 11.
Like niggas really gonna beat your ass. Like
the top WNBA player is not beating the 12th man.
Not beating she's not beating a nigga in the G League.
So,
she's not beating a nigga in college.
All right. I'd say that's just a very funny conversation. As far as what Jeff Teague was saying, I do agree. The difference in physicality between men and women is just, there has been professional athletes that said the same thing. The big talking point was when Serena Williams and John McEnroe we're discussing the competition.
Yeah, and even in that instance, when Serena and John McEnroe were kind of going back and forth about it, he was speaking about it on a morning show, and he was like, she would get like destroyed, and they thought he should apologize. He's like, no, I'm not apologizing. And then ultimately Serena agreed. So I don't understand the battle of the sexes thing that tends to occur. But even with the women's national Australian team, they lost 7-0 to a group of 15-year-old boys. So that just shows the level of athleticism between men and women, or at that point in time, grown women and 15-year-old boys, literally shut them out. So you take a grown man and a grown woman, WNBA player, NBA player, it wouldn't even be close. But I like the fact that they kind of had like a friendly back and forth about, like, it wasn't serious. Like, oh, Josh Hart, I'll kick the shit out of you. You know what I mean? It was just a lighthearted, friendly back and forth. But I would like to see it. I ain't gonna lie. I would like to see it. So with that being said, Kelsey Plum, right? We all know Kelsey Plum, Las Vegas Aces. She also chimed in generally about whether she could beat an NBA player or not. So just to understand who Kelsey Plum is, right? She was the NCAA all-time leading women's scorer before Caitlin Clark came in and broke her record. Two-time All-American, just phenomenal player at the University of Washington. Like, she was insane. Number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft. So I believe that Kelsey Plum knows what she's talking about. So we're going to check this out.
NBA players you are convinced you can beat one-on-one?
No.
Not one?
Not even someone from the bench. You have to understand, if we're doing like shooting workouts, skill workouts, I'm very confident in anyone that you put in front of me that I can compete. Just sheer size, athleticism, that's the problem. Yeah. Maybe I can score, but like, who am I going to defend? These guards, these point guards are like 6'6".
Okay. Like I was saying, Kelsey Plum, she definitely gave her opinion. She understands, yeah, she could score, but she can't defend. But Kelsey Plum is like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", right? Whereas I believe A'Ja Wilson, because she is 6'4", and Josh Hart is 6'4", I think that's why she thinks she can compete. But Kelsey Plum basically said, nah, it ain't happening.
But it's also funny, though, that sure, it's between her and Josh Hart, but she didn't say anything to Jalen Brunson either. I mean, something about it.
I think she looks at Jalen Brunson as like faster, right? If she's considered like a big, A'Ja was considered a big in the WNBA, and I believe that she sees the quickness in Jalen Brunson and the shiftiness in his game, and I believe she knows she can't compete. But there's something about Josh Hart, I don't know what it is, where she thinks she can beat him, but ultimately, I think that Josh Hart's correct. It will probably be 11-2, and it wouldn't even be close.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like what you just said. It's like A'Ja Wilson's considered a big, and what Kelsey Plum said, the guards are like 6'6", at least, like literally at least 6'6".
Yeah.
So it's just, I would have to agree, 11-2. Like she'll score. But I don't think she'll beat him. So.
You know what's interesting about this? This brought up a thought in my mind when I saw this story. If the NBA brought a one-on-one competition to the All-Star game, I think between NBA players, right? Not necessarily. I mean, I guess you could bring in the WNBA players, but to increase the competitiveness of the All-Star game, bring in a one-on-one competition. Whereas you have the James Hardens of the world, you have Anthony Edwards. I mean, Steph, KD, LeBron, they're getting a little bit older, but I think that would be like mad interesting to see a one-on-one game of NBA players. They do it all summer. Why wouldn't they bring it to the All-Star game? In my mind, I think that would be a fantastic thing to watch.
Yeah, it would. It would just definitely bring out the competitiveness, but it's also like not like too hard on each other. Or it could be. It would bring out the competitiveness and the rivalries. And it would definitely have a lot of seats filled for these kinds of events.
Yeah, because it's something that you haven't seen before, right? As we've discussed previously, the NBA needs to kind of enhance the game, and I think that one-on-one competition, it just like peaked. I think the one-on-one competition, it just like came across my mind, like, why haven't we seen a one-on-one competition in the NBA? Somebody like Jamal Crawford, Jay Crossover, back in the day. Like, who was going to stop him? Like, yes, you can score James Harden. Yes, you can score Kyrie, but you also got to defend. And I was also further thinking about this, where everything is 1 point, right? 3-pointers are 1 point, mid-range is 1 point, but anything that you score in the paint is 1/2 a point. So yes, you can back somebody down and score like a game to 7, like nothing like super long, right? A game to 7, everything is 1 point, but if you score in the paint, it's 1/2 a point. So I think that will increase the competitiveness.
I'll say, so you're giving these post players of a little handicap.
Yeah, because you figure, could Wemby back down Kyrie? Sure, he could. He could. And you could only score 3 points in a row. So you think about it, a game of 7 where you can score 3 points in a row, now the ball automatically goes back.
Right.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I thought about this. NBA, cut me the check. Oh, man. But yeah, A'Ja Wilson, I don't believe she can beat an NBA player. And I would love to see a one-on-one game in the NBA All-Star game. All right, there we go. Airs on Air. We out.